Hello, gorgeous.
Hello, gorgeous. Ladies, welcome, welcome, welcome. International Women's Day. In honor of all of you, we're happy to be live with you this morning or this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are. It's morning for me. Joe, I think it's early evening for you, isn't it?
It is indeed. It is indeed.
So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, first of all, we want to welcome our beautiful woman and say this is an honor of you, but we also want to let our guys know that this is also about the masculine genius because we honor you and love you, and women would never be who they are called to be without having your opposite energy that is totally attractive and awesome and amazing to us. So we just want to acknowledge you and say thanks for joining us and for cheering us on in this race as women learn to become all they're called to be in a world that has been mostly masculine in all of history. So we just want to thank you for cheering us on and for loving us as we journey and learn to lead in a feminine way.
Yeah, absolutely. And for, being our biggest supporters and encouragers and uplifting us to rise, especially in this really pivotal time in history. I think it's an exciting time for all of us. We just came off a super exciting time. We are, nominating women for vice president and presidencies. We have women that are officiating in sports, things that you couldn't imagine when I was a little girl, and now stepping into it. It's pretty exciting. What we're embarking on, what we're creating.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'd love to hear from all of our viewers. Please let us know who you are and where you're calling from, where you're coming in from, so that we can just get a feel for who's here. And those who are watching the replay, let us know so that you're part of the conversation. We really want you to let us know what you love about women and what wonderful supporters our men are of our journey. That would be absolutely fabulous. Put the comments below. So, do we need to introduce ourselves, Jen? There might be some people who don't know who we are and what the heck we're doing here.
I suppose we should. You can kick it off.
Shall I key off? All right. So I'm Jo Hawkins, a transformation neuroscience coach. So excited to be here with you today. We are talking about Hello Gorgeous Feminine Genius in honor of International Women's Day and becoming all that we're created to be, but that includes our guys. So just because it's Women's Day doesn't mean to say that we don't want you around. You absolutely are an integral part of our lives and we love you to bits.
And I'm Jennifer Kauffman. I am an award-winning author and speaker. I also produce inspirational transformational films. And what's most important to me is that, we honor and celebrate who we are as people, right? Whether you're male or female, that we really are honoring and cultivating our best selves and rising up to our full potential. And so I'm excited to be here with you today, Joe, and from different parts of the globe as we share how to unleash, more of our what I would call our superpowers, right? And what we've learned in our journey, because I know I've certainly had times in my life where I've had no superpowers at all, and yet, I've tapped into and cultivated some things that have enabled me to do some pretty extraordinary things after losing it all. So I think we should talk a little bit about that and get people excited.
I think that we're on the, in this time in history when more and more power is being released in a quantum way. There's so much science at our disposal, so much knowledge, experiments in the neuroscience world that just absolutely blown away what we thought about life and the world and epigenetics and all the rest of it and man's potential. And so because of that science, we are realizing more and more that we have so much that we are able to do. And we're just, hitting the tip of the iceberg. So it's an incredibly exciting time in history. And releasing our full potential is really our mission, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, I would love to hear, we've got some great guests that are popping in on the comments. Tell us what's something that you perceive as one of your superpowers. And I'll share one of mine. I have several, but one for me is actually fostering an attitude of gratitude and being grateful for all that I have, even the times when I perceive I don't have things. I have lost, I'm a survivor of terrorism. I know what it's like to lose everything and have to rise up from the ashes of that. And, learning to cultivate gratitude in those darkest situations was not an easy thing to do. But I would say it was absolutely one of the key ingredients that helped me to look for the good even in bad situations. And it is definitely a practice that I highly recommend and one that we embody every single day. Because the truth is, what we pay attention to and what we focus on most expands. So we can choose to focus on things that are bad and awful and what's wrong with the world or what's wrong with us as women or as individuals, or we can choose to look at the good in ourselves and all that's out there. And the more that we choose to focus on that good, the more good we have in our lives.
Absolutely. What we focus on expands. It's just a law of science, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I will say, it's like, it's like going to the gym. It's like building a muscle, right? So ideally, if you don't practice gratitude on a consistent basis now, you can start. You can start today, right? It's easier to just foster an attitude of gratitude when things are, in a pretty good spot. It becomes a lot more challenging when life gets difficult and hard to be able to do it at that point. But that's one of my superpowers, Joe. What's one of yours?
I've always been a really positive thinker. My mum trained me early on, so I can't take any of the credit for it, But she trained me to absolutely believe that all things are possible and that there are no limitations. It doesn't matter what it looks like, that there are always other ways and options open to us that we might not yet see or recognize. And I think that this has become something that's totally amazing in my life, because I was on death's door for a number of months. And then at one stage they said I was going to have my right arm amputated. And I had the best doctors in the country. In fact, they were performing operations that had never been done in the world before. So I had the best of the best as a nurse. And learning that I didn't have to downgrade their expertise, but that I still could believe that there was another way. And that has been something that has been life-changing for me, because obviously I kept my right arm, which is a big deal. I was 17. And, things like that. It's just when you know that the universe is for you and not against you, everything changes.
I want to actually expound on what you just said, because it's so powerful. I would actually take it a step further. It's not just the power of positivity, it's actually the power of your own belief. So you had other people outside of you who were the experts in their field who said, no, there's nothing we can do. This is the only option. But yet you cultivated, well, no, I actually think that there's another way. And, having a belief like the size of a mustard seed is all you need to really to change the trajectory of your life. And it starts with us. It starts, I had a similar experience. I was told, I should say my family was told, I wasn't personally told, I had a very traumatic brain injury in my mid-20s, a fluke skating accident of all things. And my family was told I would never fully recover from that. I was in my mid-20s. I was at the height of my career. Life was amazing. Thank God my family never told me that. Because had I believed that, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. And it wasn't until I was experiencing my healing from the terrorist attack 8 years ago that my mom said to me, hey, you thought this was bad and you don't think you can get through this. I'm going to tell you something which is that I never shared with you before. Doctors told me you would never fully recover from that brain injury. You would never know today that I had a severe brain injury. That I couldn't walk normal. I couldn't talk normal. I couldn't function. Literally, can you imagine at 25 years old and having your mom having to bathe you, take you to the bathroom, and feed you because you cannot do anything on your own? It was humbling, to say the least. But yet, thankfully, I had people around me that supported me and believed in me and believed something that was beyond, at the time what doctors thought was possible. So I think it's a great reminder for people. It's just like, guys, we have the power to just believe, and if we have a desire to bigger than that, just keep cultivating it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're getting some lovely comments from all our viewers. Like, we do appreciate you, Susan, Tony, Karen, Pona. Thank you for joining us and for joining the conversation. And Tony's got a wonderful question.
Yeah, well, here's what's exciting. What's exciting is that we have people in the United States, we have people in Africa, we have people in India and the Middle East, right? Exciting. I love how we can be connected in this way.
Isn't it just so absolutely precious? And so Tony is asking, what can we do every day to eliminate limiting beliefs? It's a great question, Tony.
Great question. I will share my piece is this. So first and foremost, our minds consume so much information every single day, right? And so we have thoughts that are constantly coming into our awareness. And I liken it like this: if you have a limiting belief that comes in, think of it like this. Think of it like a radio station. For those of us that are young enough to remember, like, we used to have to change the dials. Now it's a little different, but I'm going to just, trust that people know what we're talking about here. But it's like, if a song came on that you didn't like, you just change the dial, right? So one of the ways you can do this is just stop and be aware, oh, I'm thinking something that really doesn't serve me anymore. And then think of the opposite that you really want to believe, So let's use abundance, right? So a lot of people right now, especially with the pandemic, may be feeling, constrained financially, right? And so they're aware of, hey, I don't have as much as I once did, and might, pop into lack belief or, limiting belief around lack or not enough. And it's like, when you can focus on the opposite and then embody the feeling of having that opposite now, that's how you start to shift it quickly. And it's like building a muscle every time, and you might have to do this several times a day. Whenever you notice yourself focusing on that you don't want, focus on the opposite. But here's the key. It's not just about focusing on the opposite. It's actually embodying the feeling as if you already have it. That's when things start to shift and you start to manifest something else.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what we're going to be talking so much about today, is about embodying our ideal self, because so many of us have things, well, we all do, right? We all have parts of ourselves that we don't like and we wish were different. And this is it. It's learning to embody what it is that we do want without holding ourselves in judgment on those things that we don't. So I want to show my most favorite chart in the whole world. And you can see the green has completely disappeared because I have a green screen, which is quite hilarious. But this is Dr. David Hawkins' chart of human consciousness. His map of human consciousness is absolutely amazing discoveries in this. So he's talking about human frequency, human vibration, and consciousness, and all the different feelings that go with that. And up here, just above the area that disappears, we've got neutrality. And neutrality is the area that I call the faith gap or the quantum gap. And this is where quantum can become particle. This is the area where we feel totally vulnerable. It's about letting go. It's about not being in control. And it's about learning to dance with the universe or with the creator God, learning to absolutely allow that vulnerability that lets us release control and allow the magic to happen with a heart that is full of faith. So it's the faith gap or the quantum gap, and it totally is where all the magic and the power starts. So
can I give an analogy to describe it?
Yes. Go. Okay. Are you asking me or going to give up?
Yeah, no, I'm going to give one now, right? So it's
Good.
hard to imagine, right? So the faith gap, I call it the void, right? It's like kind of like this black hole, but it's really not a black hole, right? It's like this. It's like when you plant a seed. Can you see the seed? No, you can't, right? It's underground, it's cultivating, it's germinating. But what you have to do every day is water that if you want it to expand and to grow. So when you start to embody different beliefs that you really want, or different dreams that you want to manifest in your life, it's planting the seed. And your job every day is to water the seed, with positivity, with faith, with a reassurance that you will have it at some point in time, right? That is the key, is that, and then over time, that little seed starts to poke through and starts to germinate and expand. It takes time, right? But if you can just trust and believe that if you can, in fact, think it and dream it, you absolutely have the God-given right to manifest it in your life. It's the timing is totally up to you as an individual. So if you're taking care of watering so-called your seeds or your dreams on a consistent basis, in my experience, you can manifest that quicker in your life. If you are inconsistent around this, or you get stuck in those lower vibrations, which, hey, I'm human, I do too.
Yeah.
Our fear, or we play, or our dreams are bigger than we can even imagine. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes, like, you have this dream, you're like, oh my God, that'd be amazing, but I don't know how to do that. I've never done anything remotely like that before. What do I do, right? And so sometimes our dreams are so ginormous that it's actually hard to embody it in the beginning, right? And it takes some time to build into it. So anyways, and I'll give another analogy, right? So I like to break things down so it's simple for people, right? So I'll give you another really simple analogy. It's like this, I think there's Starbucks all around the world. I'll use that because I think everybody can know what it is. If you don't know, it's a pretty high-end coffee shop. But if you were to drive up to a drive-through window of a Starbucks and you were to order a latte, and you were very specific around what you ordered, do you have any uncertainty or any doubt by the time that you get to the drive-up window that that coffee will not be there? No, you don't even think about it. You don't even think about it, right? You go, okay, now in a rare case, it might not be exactly the way you ordered it. Yeah, sometimes that happens, right? But you just trust that it's going to be there. The same is true in our dreams and in our beliefs, right? Like, if we can, and so that's the part about letting go and surrendering to it. And also, like, just living in the moment, having fun and joyful every single moment of every day.
Absolutely. And that's the release and the letting go, is to have that childlike faith that you don't have to worry anymore. It's not about how much you're going to force or control something. It's about how you're going to learn to dance. And if we're dancing with the universe or with the God force, then we have to know that, he's not going to step on our toes. It's something beautiful. It's something vulnerable. It's something amazingly gorgeous. And we have our role to play, but we're not we're not all the magic. The magic is with us and God. It's that beautiful interaction of the creator and his beloved.
Absolutely. And I want to share something else, right? Going back to the analogy of a garden, right? We plant seeds. There are weeds that grow too, guys. Like, hello, it's not just all roses, right? It's just there are weeds that grow in gardens. So you actually have to pluck those weeds. That's the negativity. That's the uncertainty or the doubt or past traumas that are coming up to be dealt with, right? Or, I don't know about you, Joe, but, I've gone through a lot of transformation in my life, and if I had to learn to let go. What do I mean by that? Let go of past beliefs that no longer served me. Like, they served me in the past, but in order to embody where I'm going next, they really don't serve me now. Or, or letting go of, my environment. Like, my environment may not work for me anymore. I'll give you an example. I used to live in the city, right? It was great because it was proximity to my work and to the airport and convenient to restaurants and all this stuff. But the reality was, I didn't love living in the city. It's not where like I enjoy being there, but I actually really resonate more in the suburbs and out in the country where there's a lot more space and greenery and woods and stuff like in the beach actually. So I had to give up my, my place in the city, which was convenient in so many levels, to really honor what I was, really looking for newly, right? And sometimes we outgrow the people that have been in our lives. And this is, for me, this has been the hard part. I love people, and but sometimes, and I liken it like this. It doesn't mean you don't love the people that you've outgrown. It's just they've chosen a different path, right? And you're choosing a different path. And sometimes we do have to break away to be able to honor that in which we're wanting to create newly in our lives. It doesn't make it easy, but it is sometimes, it's necessary, part of the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we all have a calling, and that calling is to become our ideal self. If there is something that is blocking you, it's not blocking you to oppose you, interestingly enough, which is what I, originally thought. But obviously it's there to give you extra muscle, give you extra strength, so that as you more determined to become who you're called to be and to fulfill your purpose, so you're growing in strength and resilience and determination, and you are learning how to be more of who you are rather than less. So it's a very exciting journey, realizing, Einstein said the most important question of all time that any person can ask is whether we are living in a hostile universe or in a friendly universe. And that's exactly it. Are things for you or against you? And when you realize that everything is for you and in your favor in some way, that it will be there to bless you, it changes everything.
It does change everything. And, that was a hard lesson for me to learn personally, right? Because you sit there and you go, well, wait a minute here. How is a terrorist attack for me, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's just like, that's completely, I can't even imagine that, right? And let's be really clear. I do not want to minimize that. And I pray and wish that we don't have to experience any form of terrorism ever again. And it's also understanding that there are things that happen out of our control, and how we choose to respond to that is really the key. And I think that's what you're speaking to here today. Absolutely. Is that, there are storms that happen that wipe out cities, right? Or wipe out, whether it's a tornado or a typhoon or, a cyclone, depending upon where you are in the world, right? There are devastating things that happen in life that are outside of our control. But what was in our control is how we perceive them and how we use those as growth opportunities to rise up for them. And I use another analogy to kind of go back to the garden. Here in the US, I don't know how it is across the globe, but here in the US, we put manure. Like, we actually use manure to be able to, fertilize and allow plants to grow. Well, what if the jobs in our lives are actually that? They're actually the manure to cultivate and to bring about the best aspects of ourselves if we allow it and if we step into it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's there, we can either feel crushed by it, or we can be made into something more precious by it. And I think that's exactly it. How do you perceive it? Which part are you focusing on? And there's been some pretty devastating things in everybody's life, and realizing that in some way will serve them and humanity going forward, because our mess can be turned into a message. It can become. It was only when the Apostle Paul was bitten by the snake that his healing ministry was given. So it's understanding that there is this other level where it doesn't matter what has come to hurt you, that there will be in some way that it will catapult you, like a catapult is pulled back. When it's released, you will be set for higher glory because of it. And that is really what's creates magic in life in the end, is realizing how those things that were meant to harm us actually were something that made us even more amazing. And we've got a question from Tony. I just want to answer it. She's saying, where can you find the map of human consciousness, Dr. Hawkins' map of human consciousness? And is it going to be in the Hello Gorgeous course? Well, I don't seem to be able to do a lot of training without referring to it, because I absolutely get the most amazing gold out of Dr. Hawkins' work. So definitely, Tony, we will be putting it in there. It will also be in my Facebook. If you just search on Facebook, Joe Hawkins, map of human consciousness, or Dr. Hawkins, you will see it'll pop up and there will be this beautiful map. But we will most definitely be putting it into the Hello Gorgeous course, which I think we should start talking about now. Hello Gorgeous is something that we're about to release, and we're very excited about it. It is totally life-changing, and it's about stepping into your most ideal, full potential self and learning how to totally rock you.
Would you want to talk about how it came to be? I mean, because, you know, how we kind of came together and created this and are launching it. I think it would be important to share that, because it's so amazing.
Go for
it. Well, I'll start with, gosh, I met you, almost a year ago now, right? Sometime last summer. I know it feels like I've known you for a number of years. But anyways, but when I met you, I was over 200 pounds, something I have never experienced in my life. And, you know, personally, I wasn't feeling good about myself, right? Here, you know, I told you I had lived through a terrorist attack, and fast forward in 2017, I went and ran the marathon. In training for the marathon, you would think I would have lost weight. Actually, that was the part where I started to gain weight. And I was on this trajectory of gaining weight ever since then, even though I perceived I was doing all the right things. So I was training on a daily basis. I was eating nutritional foods, or so I thought. I was doing all the things that I had been doing in my early 20s, and I was fit as could be, had a rock star body at that point in time. But those things were not working anymore. Now, I will say this, I had 20 years on me at this point. That was the different factor. And I also had gone through quite a bit of trauma. And so I was at my wit's end, actually. And it was through a dialogue or series of dialogues with you, and just, you know, seeing how you radiate gorgeous beauty every single day. And then you helped me kind of cultivate and take me on this journey of understanding my body better, understanding that my working out harder was actually creating more stress and inflammation and cortisol in my body, which was, you know, making me gain weight. You helped me understand, now listen, I'm not a nurse or a doctor or don't have a medical background at all. You do have some of that, you know, so I'm kind of like just a layman person who's going with the mainstream information that's out there. And I was failing big time. And it was through our conversations that helped me open something up. And I'm now down 30 pounds on my way back to my ideal self. And I feel so much better, so much more confident. And I will say this, when you started to say hello gorgeous to me, I couldn't believe it in the beginning. I couldn't take it in at all. And I wanted to, but I didn't feel it on the inside. I looked in the mirror and I certainly couldn't see that gorgeous, you know, woman that I had been or once was. Just couldn't find it. And God, it makes me cry, because I now look in the mirror now and I have so much more appreciation for who I am. And I can't say I fully embody the gorgeous yet, but boy, I am so much closer to it than I was 6 months ago, even. And so why don't you talk a little bit more about the science and the medical side of things, which you can speak to so eloquently?
I would absolutely love to do that. But before I do, I would love to talk for a little bit about how I learned to rock that, and then what happened. I want to hear from you. What happened when you started to radiate and feel the gorgeous Jen, your ideal self, and associate with your ideal self more than the self that you are now. So more than the particle, you are identifying with the quantum potential, and then what result that had on the law of attraction, law of vibration of everyone else around you. Would you talk about that for me?
Yeah, so let me take a step back. When I met you, I had been kind of behind the scenes wanting to put together my own film. So I have produced 2 films in the past, but this time I wanted to create my own. And I had done all the behind the scenes work around it. But the reality was I was nowhere near ready, in my view, to be on camera. I had been on camera a couple of years prior, and I was horrified looking at how heavy I had become. And I was like, that's just not, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. I don't feel comfortable getting in front of the camera and portraying the amazing wisdom that I've learned in my journey to those, to those who really want to hear my message. So it started out with frankly, a need, a desire I've got to do something different. And one of the things that I would say, there were several, but one of the things that you impressed upon to me was to love myself where I was at the time, which was such a challenge, because what was coming up for me initially was shame and guilt and disgust, frankly. I look in the mirror, I'm like, who is this person? It's not at all who I thought I was. And so exactly, all the low vibrational stuff, right? And so, and for me, sometimes I actually have to stop and say, would I ever speak to a friend this way? Would I ever speak to a loved one this way? Would I ever speak to a family member this way? And if the answer is no, which by the way, it almost always is, then I have to take my own advice. I have to go, okay, how can I look in the mirror now and love that person in the mirror, even though she's 200 pounds and 70 pounds overweight and doesn't look at all her ideal self and isn't rocking her body like she used to, right? So learning to love myself in that place was a challenge. But, Louise Hay, Louise Hay was a mentor of mine. I had the pleasure of meeting her and spending some time with her in Miraval. And one of her biggest things that she taught was mirror work, was actually looking at yourself in the mirror and saying the things that you love about yourself, right? And so I just remembered that. And I started to do more of that. And I also started to change my inner critic to my inner best friend, my cheerleader. Like whenever I was just being super critical of myself, I'm like, time out. I don't need to be critical. How about I just acknowledge myself for the progress that I've made, the fact that I've actually met someone new who can share her wisdom and insights, and so I can try something else and see how I do with it. Well, here's the fascinating part. Not only am I down 30 pounds, I'm down 2 sizes, right? But here's the miraculous thing. Just in the past week, I've secured 3 new investors into my film project for a total of 5 now. Just those 3 alone have amassed, nearly 6 figures of investor dollars in. And it came with ease and grace. There was no it was just like literally ease and grace. So my attraction factor has exponentially, it's quantified exponentially, and I'm only halfway through my goal. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in the next couple of months.
But I have to tell you, that's because you are radiating you are radiating confidence, and you've learned to be in love with you. When you're in love with yourself, I think that's our real gift, that we give back to God, or to the universe or the quantum field, is because when we have gone out of the guilt and the shame and all that stuff that is judging of ourselves, and we start entering into unconditional love of who we were created to be, something very magical and mystical happens, and we get this incredible attraction. When I did that, I used to find that, I'd go to the shops in stretch tracksuits, which I don't know what do you call a tracksuit in the States, Jen?
A sweatsuit or a yoga,
Okay.
yoga outfit. You could do either one of those. Yeah.
Okay. And the one time I had greasy hair, yes, I admit I went to the shop with greasy hair. It was very embarrassing, but it's true. And what was amazing was just every head was spinning around and staring at me in awe, not in disgust, but like, wow. And I'm going, oh my gosh, this is a little scary. You know what I mean? Because the difference was just so huge. And it wasn't because I was looking fabulous. It was just a magnetic attraction. And so this is what I want people to really get hold of, is that, the world is so focused on being spiritual or being, having your mind right and your spirit right, but they are totally forgetting that until we've got our bodies right, we're not going to be in alignment. We're not going to be rocking our full potential self. There's something amazing and mystical that happens when your own vibration changes about you, that you're then able to come across in ways that are so much more confident and aligned and relaxed and just totally, I don't know, vibrant, I think. So this is what I'm longing to give the world, is this gift of bringing our bodies back into their full important state, because without our bodies, something very big is missing,
Well, I would say, but I want to actually add to that, right? Because you bring up a really good point is, when I lost the first 10 pounds, I was in awe, because I remember being out in the grocery store, right? Similar thing. I literally had you call it a tracksuit. I had a hoodie on and yoga pants and sneakers, and I hadn't showered yet. I just ran to go get something at the store, and I had, I just had these, encounters with different people, several of them were men, like, just happening to just say hello or acknowledge. And I'm thinking to myself, like, where's this coming from? And what was fascinating is at that point, I was still 60 plus pounds overweight. So it started to teach me something. It's not necessarily about our weight. And let's be clear, I definitely, for me personally, I want to embody a smaller version of me, because that's what makes me feel the most alive. But what I really noticed was stopping and honoring and loving myself exactly where I was actually had me radiating at a higher vibrancy, and I was more attractive. And so I was more approachable, and people would strangers would just come up and, hi, how are you? Or just a friendly face. And it's like, wow. So we actually can embody this now, no matter where we are in our, physical orientation.
Amazing. And Jen, for you, there was a time where that would have been quite frightening. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
But there's been a healing.
Yeah,
there's been a transformation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I want to speak to the other part of this, and it's why Joe and I have come together to create this program that we are kicking off actually and launching today in honor of International Women's Day. Was, as somebody who has, for myself personally, endured a lot of trauma, both as a child and as an adult, I recognize that my weight was more a protective barrier than it was. So it wasn't that I was necessarily doing all the wrong things. I didn't
it was
recognize
body armor.
It was body armor, and it was my way of emotionally keeping myself safe from the world. So I thought, and this was the thing. It was actually a false belief, because when I started to love myself where I was, 70 pounds overweight, I became more attractive, literally. And that was a little concerning for me, because as somebody who, at different points in my adulthood have had a really amazing body, taken excellent care of my body, I've been attacked in a not healthy or pleasant way at all. And that's scary for me, right? So part of my struggle and challenge has been, how can I rock who I am and feel really radiant and alive in my body and not be attacked for it? And not be, you know what I mean? And so I've had to work through those limiting beliefs and those fears. And as I step out and recognize that I can be safe in my body, I can be strong in my body, and I don't have to be, attacked anymore. And so, as I've been shifting my own, neural pathways and dissolving those past traumas and rewriting that, no, it's totally safe to be me. And, and not all men are aggressors, right? And I don't have to focus on that anymore. And I can really focus on stepping forward and feeling safe and secure in my own body.
Thanks, Jane. Thank you. And I think something that's just really important to mention here is that from all the studies that are being done, we've discovered that, sexual aggressors, they are not choosing people for sexual reasons. They're choosing people for dominance. And they will generally choose people with low self-esteem. That is the biggest danger to women and children, is low self-esteem. When you have great self-esteem, they pass you by because they're not looking for someone with great self-esteem. They're looking for somebody who already feels like a victim. And this is what is so incredibly important in life, is learning that we get to choose, are we a victim before it even happens? Or are we secure in who we are and in our own strength and power? And so it's learning to step into that. Obviously, with all the right precautions and everything else. We're not talking about being stupid, but we are saying that when aggressors or people who are trafficking in women or children, when they are approached, they will generally say, we will choose the person who looks down when we compliment them, rather than looks up and says, thank you. So I think these are very important things to notice, is that the more we empower women and children in self-esteem, the more armor they really have, rather than the body armor that makes them feel less themselves.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely true. And self-esteem, self-esteem you can embody now. It doesn't matter what your size is, right? Self-esteem, and you're 100% right, is that when and I would absolutely say, so even though I looked good on the outside, in my 20s and at certain points in my 30s, the reality was, on the inside, I was not feeling confident and safe and secure, because I had been sexually assaulted as a little girl, and by a man and two women, right? So I didn't trust people, and I, frankly, it hasn't been until recently that I've learned to trust and open up and be vulnerable and embody exactly who I am, and to cultivate a much, much deeper level of confidence in myself.
And the difference has been amazing, hasn't it?
Absolutely. It's been a game changer, to be candid. There's nothing more amazing and empowering to feel safe and secure in who you are, right? And I think we live in a world where I can only speak to what we deal with here in the U.S., but in the U.S. we've been in this wanting sameness and wanting everyone to be like one another. And that, to me, goes against exactly how we were created to be. We are intended to rock our unique selves. We are intended to bring that to the world. It's like a small puzzle piece that, we come together and we align and collaborate with other people who also have their own gifts. And when we come together, it's more magical and more powerful and more transformative. We're not meant to be the same. Like, same is boring.
That's it. That's it. No, none of us were created the same. Every single snowflake is different. So why would we not rock our difference? Isn't it amazing? Hey, what incredible
Yeah,
universe we live in.
and celebrate our differences, because it's in the differences if we actually can find a way to listen. Like, we don't have to agree. Let's be really clear. We do not have to agree. But to
And we often
actually
don't.
honor, we don't. Those of us that know us well know that we don't. And that's great, because something else happens in that process. It's like this like friction and kind of whatever, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, wait, what about this? So a completely brand new idea will emerge out of something that we didn't agree on. And it's because we were willing to work through it. And it's like, one of my new mentors, who I have such admiration for, is Lieutenant Dan Rooney. And he recently wrote a book, Fly into the Wind. Planes do only take off into the wind. It's the resistance in which gets things at a higher trajectory. So when we are willing to work through that level, right, something greater emerges, as long as we don't give up and quit.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's fantastic. Thanks, Jen. And you were asking me earlier, I don't want to forget and leave everybody hanging. Please, guys, remember that you are so part of this conversation. We love hearing from you. Drop us your comments, drop us your questions, so that we can keep you involved, because this is really about you. Jen and I have awesome conversations, but this really is our longing to be with you as well. This is important to us. So, you had asked, Jen, about the whole medical background and how Hello Gorgeous came to be. So I started off my career nursing. Before that, I had sisters on either side of eating disorder spectrum. And it became incredibly important for me to learn how to have a great body with great health, without ignoring the importance of being fit and healthy, and rocking my ideal self, but with amazing healthy ways of achieving that. I don't believe that we should ever have to use methods that are not absolutely in line with health and fitness. And so that has been one of my big goals. So I went nursing, did midwifery, psychiatry, community health, and then went on to specialize in Pilates coaching, in advanced weight loss and nutrition, and all sorts of other things, as well as my coaching, training and business. So really and truly, this has been something that was important, mostly just for myself and my family. So, for example, I had family members who were diabetic, pre-diabetic, hypertension, and within a month, I had managed to bring them right down, so they didn't need insulin or blood pressure pills anymore, according to the doctors. So that was absolutely fantastic. I never recommend that you do something that your doctor won't agree with, but if we can stabilize your blood sugar and get you to a place where you no longer need insulin, then it's very exciting. So I studied all of these things and made it absolutely key to keep myself in order, as well as people who needed it, who I loved. And then when I came to the Middle East, we'd gone through a very stressful time just before that, and I had developed a bunch of food intolerances and inflammatory response, a lot of cortisol, and I had gained quite a bit of weight. For me, 8 to 10 kgs. I'm a shorty, so when you're a titch, everything looks much bigger than on other people. And actually, the definition of prediabetes is about 10 kgs overweight anyway, and much of the world is there as a norm. So I started studying a whole lot of different food intolerances and anti-inflammatory ways of eating, and have refined it, and found that just the most incredible differences to my energy, to brain fog, to sinus headaches, hormonal imbalances, all sorts of things were cleared up while I was doing this. And at the same time, I received a whole lot of amazing information, just almost like a download on the feminine genius and the masculine genius archetypes, and how important it is to truly rock our sexuality and our sensuality in ways that is totally aligned with who we were created to be, in full dignity and beauty and honor of our being created in a body, you know. And then, of course, the work of Napoleon Hill with Think and Grow Rich, chapter 11, is the subject of sex transmutation. And so all of this is pulling into alignment and realizing that we cannot be who we were created to be without honoring our bodies for their full potential, you know, and that it's about everything being in alignment, whilst we're kidding ourselves if we're trying to be spiritual and ignore our body, because when your body no longer works, you have to check out of here, you know. And so that is where it all began. So it's been something incredibly precious. And wherever I go, into shops, into restaurants, friends and waitresses and waiters and shop attendants, everybody asks me, ma'am, how do you manage to keep your body? So it's something that I've been asked for years and years and years, and eventually Jen convinced me it's time to get it out to the world, and stop holding on to something that might bless a whole lot of people. So that is what this is all about: embodying your ideal self and stepping into your greatness and your full potential, and accepting who you really are created to be, and learning to embrace that in ways that are empowering and uplifting and invigorating. And as Jen was saying, you know, just the differences in her own way of showing up in her business has been amazing, let alone everything else that has been transformative. So I'm so excited that you've convinced me to do this, Jennifer.
I'm excited that we're collaborating and doing it together, and bringing, you know, your amazing uniqueness and talent and skill, and then my own experiences, and, you know, of having, you know, juggled with weight issues as an adult. You know, I've been really fit and thin and embodied it, and then I've gained it, and then I've, you know, lost it again and gained it. And I actually feel now, for the very first time, that this, like, the path that I am on now is my new way of life, and that I will never be overweight again, and that, you know, I will rock being super healthy and vibrant. And because I know, you know, it's interesting, on Friday, close friends of mine opened a brand new amazing restaurant, and we went, and I hadn't had any sort of ice cream or dessert in months. And I was like, oh, I can just have a couple of bites, right? What's the big deal? So I had a couple of bites, and oh my gosh, my body just did not react well to it. You know, I actually have lactose issues, and those couple of bites literally gave me gastro issues for the last 2 days. And so, it hasn't been pleasant. And I value high energy. I value having a clear mind and a lot of creativity and a lot of productivity. It's just like, it's what I love. And so this weekend, I wasn't able to do all the things I had planned to do because I didn't feel good, all because I had a couple of bites of something that my body just does not want. And so it's interesting, you know, we live and learn and play and stuff, and I'm starting to feel good again. Not 100%, but I'm starting to feel good again. And oh my gosh, it feels amazing to feel amazing. And so we want this for everyone else. We want this for everyone else, because everyone deserves this. And here's the thing is that, and you're right? My business, so 2021, coming out of, you know, 2020 being, you know, the COVID and the pandemic across the globe. And right now my business is soaring. And I swear it's because I'm soaring, because I am falling in love with myself and who I am in this moment. And as a result, I show up different in the world. And actually life is more fun, more enjoyable.
Oh. So the gift of Hello Gorgeous is really about body mastery and learning to have the mindset of think and grow thin. The mindset changes everything. And then we give you the tools for body mastery and discovering if there's anything that might be creating inflammation in your body that has been hidden and just sort of like bubbling under the surface. So we give you the power to learn how to do all of that. And then I will also be giving you some amazing Pilates stuff, which really I focus on feminine curves and masculine angles. So we make sure that everybody is taken care of in their masculine or feminine genius, that your body will be mwah, ooh la la, gorgeous for you. And so that's very important for me. And we'll be looking at ways of reducing your inflammation, finding out, you sort of become a little detective of your own body. You will learn if there's anything that is harming you, and what harms you might be different to what might harm someone else, or you might be absolutely fine, but the detox is fabulous. And then there's some Pilates, and then we've got a whole lot of the psychology of think and growth, and which is absolutely key. We're using transformation and success psychology principles that I've applied over years to my weight maintenance and rocking my ideal self. And the little things that I've learned make a massive, massive difference. That people who know this can just keep their ideal self rocking, and people who don't know this just sort of get undone, because there's certain things, ways of sabotaging, or things that if we haven't taken care of, it can just trip us up. So that is that. And what else have we been doing? Amazing inspiration and nutrition plans and things like that.
Yeah, we wanted to break it down, right? So we had a lot of conversation and debate back and forth as to, what kind of program do we really start with, right? And we talked about a year-long program, we talked about some other stuff, and really what we came down to is, I think everybody is looking for a jumpstart, right? And so, and like anything else, this is unique. There's nobody else doing what we've put together here now, right? So we wanted to make it so that it was something that some people could easily step into, and basically do a jumpstart program for 33 days. So it's 33 days of motivation, support, and basically reimagining who you are and who you will show up to be newly in the world, right? So it's a 33-day journey, and it will be an amazing transformational journey for those that choose to jump on board. We wanted to have it so that we could build some momentum and build some and start to build a community. And then from there, there'll be other things that we will offer later on down the road. But we really wanted to jumpstart people into stepping into their version of Hello Gorgeous now, because we believe every person on the planet has the ability to thrive, and it starts with us. And by the way, thriving is not the money that you have in your bank account or the material possessions you have. Thriving is a way of being, and something that we can all cultivate now. And when we're thriving, we manifest that in which we want in our lives more of. And so, Hello Gorgeous is a perfect springboard to that. So if you're interested in learning more, there's information that's scrolling across the screen now, of where you can go learn more about the program. You can see testimonials, and if it's a fit for you, jump in. And if you have any questions, you can let us know. Actually, we do have a question. Tony has a question. Is Hello Gorgeous for men and women?
It's for everybody. It really is. We've designed it for women, so you'll see, because it's International Women's Day, we've got flowers everywhere. But guys, you are absolutely welcome and treasured and valued, because we really know that everyone has a Hello Gorgeous within them, and it's learning to just connect with that part of you, because it already exists. Your full potential self is eternal. It doesn't. It's always there, and it's really just tapping into that energy of it and learning to embody it now. And that's the magic of what we're going on with everyone. So this program, let me just give you another few little pointers that will be absolutely special to know. It's an amazing detox. It's also an energy boost of note, right, Jen?
Absolutely.
A lot of health issues will go with this, and that's very exciting. It's also an anti-inflammatory and anti-autoimmune diet. So many people with autoimmune conditions come right on this program, and high blood pressure and blood sugar issues will often absolutely disappear as your waistline does. So I want to be just absolutely clear about one thing, and that is our biggest health problem in the world at this time in history, and in fact all time, is belly fat. Belly fat is incredibly dangerous. It leads to cancer, believe it or not. Nobody talks about that. It leads to vitamin D3 deficiencies. It leads to high blood pressure, high blood sugar, insulin resistance. Everything that you can imagine links back to this, all the hormonal imbalances, because fat cells produce cortisol and estrogen, lowers men's testosterone, which is the achiever hormone, guys. You do not want to be low in testosterone. So this is about bringing everything back into harmony, back into balance, and really learning to rock your natural, powerful self. So that is the exciting journey that we have on offer.
Yeah, and I want to say a couple of things. You earlier on were talking about kgs, and for those of us in the US, we don't know what kgs are, right? So we're like 8. So I can't imagine you. How tall are you? 5 feet tall. So you're pretty short, right?
I'm 5'2". Yeah.
5'2". Okay, sorry. So you're 5'2", right? 8 to 10 kgs. What is that in pounds? Like, give us some perspective.
So at the moment, I'm about 45 kgs. So pounds is times 2.2. What is that, guys?
So it's somewhere
about
between 60. Yeah, but here's the thing. But when you were dealing with your own weight issues, right? You were somewhere between 16 and 22 pounds overweight. And if I understood what you said correctly, is that we start to tip into obesity and pre-diabetic and all the health issues when we're approximately 20 pounds overweight. And I can say that that is 100% true from my own experience. So when I met you and I said I was, 200 pounds, so twice of where you are now, right, is where I was when I first met you. And when it was the heaviest I had ever been, frankly. It was appalling to me. But here's the thing, I had recently gotten some blood work done, and I had no idea that I was literally on the cusp of diabetes. I was literally on the cusp of heart disease. I was, my body fat count, now when I was in my 20s, I was, I had a body fat count of about 15%, which was actually amazing for women. I had a very athletic build and a very athletic body. And I had no idea, because I wasn't paying attention, candidly, that my body fat was well into the 40% range. It was appalling. And so now, my markers have gone down and continue to go down. And as I shift my weight, and it's quite remarkable.
Absolutely amazing. And just so that people can get some context around body fat percentage, anything around 25% body fat for a woman is at risk. So much of the world is heading around 45, 50%. And it's not all your fault. I promise you, there is a lot that's going on nutritionally at the moment that is tipping the scales against you. So we're going to be giving you some really easy things to bring all of that back on track. So at the moment, I'm rocking about a 13.5% body fat, which is great for a woman. It's just on the top part of lean, but athletes and that would be lower. Men, you're looking at around 5% body fat would be lean and great. So body fat is absolutely where it's at, and that is what we will be focusing on, and making sure that you are feeling fantastic and totally energized with the program. It's not going to be something that's going to be tough. It's going to be beautiful. Yes.
Oh no, and we're gonna have a high vibe support group to make sure that we all get through this with ease and grace, and the kind of results that we want on the other side of it. I will say this, one myth that I learned years ago was, oh, if you want to lose fat, don't eat fat. That is completely not true. Since being on this program for myself, I do consume more fat than I had before, because I thought that, oh, if I want to lose more fat, then I just don't consume as much, right? But no, actually our bodies need that to be able to process, things. So, this is not a deprivation plan. It's not that. It's actually stripping out the foods that cause inflammation, and so that your body can reset itself on every level and get back to that balanced state. And your energy is going to go through the roof. You won't even you'll be like, oh my gosh. I mean, how many sleepless nights have I had, Joe, messaging you, I'm wired, so you'll experience more confidence, more energy. And frankly, life just becomes more enjoyable.
More magical. I agree. And the other thing that I found that was so amazing was when I went on this, I think I lost, I'm reckoning between 10 and 15 years of age appearance, right? So
Absolutely.
I completely looked like I had got younger. And gee, I don't know about anybody else, but that was a very exciting result for me. I thought, wow, I totally had lost years and years and years, because cortisol, the stress hormone, which is from all the inflammation, is very, very aging. It reduces your telomeres, and it totally gives you all the signs of aging. So as you get rid of cortisol in your body, so your body youthens and your telomeres extend and all the right youthful hormones come back. So it's a very, very exciting thing. So we are, it's just amazing. So
and I had that happen. Yeah, I had that happen last week. I'm going to be turning 50 this year, and I was in a cafe with a friend, and we were talking about, age and stuff like that. And two gentlemen looked over and said, "You don't look a day over 38." And I was like, "Thank you." It's true. I feel younger. I look younger. That's another amazing, bonus for this program too. So it's
absolutely. And so both of us are going to be 50 this year. So I'm a little older than you are. So my birthday is in July, and I am going to be 50 in July. But when I see so much of the world, they look like they're a lot older than me, and often they're younger. So it's quite a shocker. But I know that they just need a hello gorgeous reset.
Absolutely. I want to share a quote that Susan said that it's another great quote by Lieutenant Dan Rooney, and I love this one, which is, "Fly before you are ready, go." Right? It's perfect, right? And that is, it's so true. Every time that I took the step to go, even though I wasn't ready, life became amazing, frankly. I didn't experience challenges, because life does present you challenges, right? It's how we grow and how we expand. But boy, it's been magical.
Absolutely. And I love that saying, because that's exactly what we've been talking about. We've been talking about flying the feeling of your ideal self before it's real, right?
Absolutely. But do you know what FLY stands for?
Tell me. I don't.
First, love yourself. So the more you love yourself, when you put the oxygen mask on yourself, you actually have more to give. Now, for women, I know I challenge this, and all the women that I've spoken to, over the years struggle with this. We are big in giving. We love to do, it's just part of who we are. We love to nurture and give and give. But we often put ourselves last. And we leave ourselves crumbs if we're lucky. And we feel depleted, and we don't take the time. Before getting on this live talk, I spent an hour taking a rose oil, bath. That is new for me in the last couple of years. The old me would have been go, 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 and maybe I would have gotten a bath in at the end of the day if I wasn't too exhausted to draw one. No.
Yeah, and you nearly forgot all of that because we're having so much fun in the bath, right?
I did. I was like, oh, I gotta get up and actually got this call. Here's the thing: the more we love ourselves, the more we have to give, and the more we can enjoy life actually for what it's meant to be.
And you know, the scripture says you have to love others as you love yourself. And that's such an awakening, isn't it? Because if we're loving others above ourselves, then it shows that we are low on the whole self-esteem scale, which is really important with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Shall I quickly show you my other chart? I just love this stuff so much. So when we see it now, it's also in green, right? Obviously, because it disappears. So self-esteem is right up here, and we cannot achieve self-actualization without self-esteem. And that means esteem of others and being esteemed by others. So that's very, very exciting to realize that it is so incredibly important to our self-actualization is to truly love and honor ourselves as others.
That's perfect. Well, I know we're coming up on time. So for those that are interested in learning more about Hello Gorgeous and cultivating your own Hello Gorgeous, you can see scrolling down in the bottom, the URL, influencer.me/Hello Gorgeous. So it's limited seats only. And it's on purpose. We want to cultivate a really intimate group of people who are really ready to step into this for themselves. So this 33-day program is normally valued at $1,000, but because of International Women's Day and because we believe in giving back and giving people, an extra bonus on this fabulous day, we're offering it at an introductory price of $197. So jump in while there's availability. We actually already got some people registered this morning, which is fantastic. So if this excites you or you know somebody that may be interested in this, please pass it along. We promise that it will be a transformative experience, one where you will, you'll feel like a completely different person after the 33 days, and that's just the beginning.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what I've done, I have popped it in the comments. I want you to please be aware that influence is spelt a little bit differently because we believe that influence is the first stage of leadership. And if we're going to lead ourselves, it's the most important part of loving ourselves is to lead, because then we can gain self-mastery and carry it out. And so that is what influence was all about. So influence is spelt without the E near the end. Influencer.me/Hello Gorgeous. It is in the comments, and I will make sure that if anyone needs any questions answered, that we will get that to you. And we so enjoy. Oh, yay! Tony says she's already in. Yay, Tony! We're so excited you're going to be joining us. It's going to be absolutely epic, and we cannot wait to see the inner transformation radiating outwards.
Yeah, and we get to witness all these amazing people unleashing their own superpowers from within. It'll be an exciting experience. We're excited to be on the journey with all of you. Thanks for taking the time today. Any last words of wisdom we want to share with folks? It's 1:11.
I just get so that. Look at that. All the ones. Yay! I like it. I like it. What do you want? Is there anything you want to say, Jen?
No, I just want to say that, I'm excited for what is possible for all of us, actually. 2020 was a challenging year on so many different levels. And I think that, it's time for a fresh start. Even though we're in March, it's never too late to start something and create something newly. And I think that now is the time for all of us to step forth and reemerge stronger, having gone through what we've gone through across the globe last year. I think it's time.
That's it. That's it. And you know something? We were talking about belly fat being a huge danger. And to tell you the truth, it is our biggest risk with COVID, because it totally lowers your immune system, lowers your ability to fight anything, and gives you insulin resistance and all the rest of it. All these things that are at risk of COVID and lowering your immune system. So I just want to ask you to please, I know it's so contrary to where the world has been at the last decade or two, is focusing on our bodies. It's seen as vanity. It's seen as something that is almost taboo. And I just want to say that that is so not the truth. And if you honor your body will serve you above and beyond anything else that you have been. To me, it's one of the most amazing investments. You've got to invest in your mind, you've got to invest in your spirit, but you really need to also invest in your body, or else everything else is like fluff. It's, there's just nothing to base it on. So your energy.
Well, here's the reality. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but here's the reality. Our health is our wealth, right? Without our health, we have nothing. And I've actually been in situations where I haven't had my health because of certain things that have happened in my life. And so don't ever take it for granted. And I can tell you that, the more I embody health and vitality and balance in my life, exponentially my business grows. So there absolutely is a correlation there. It starts with us.
It starts with us. And just out of fascination, a lot of people who've only known me in the last number of years think that I'm incredibly high energy. They don't know that most of my life I was really low energy. In fact, I was the kid who used to watch my sisters playing because I just didn't have enough vuma to play with them. I just sit there and watch them play. And my dad was forever sending me off to the doctor to check if I had bilharzia. Growing up in Africa, we go boating on the dams and the rivers and whatnot, and you can get bilharzia, which can make you really low energy. And we had such a gorgeous doctor. I think this is probably where this Hello Gorgeous name comes from, by the way. He always used to look at me and he used to say, you go and tell your daddy, you go and tell him, say, Dr. Brebner says, I'm just gorgeous. So that was what I had to tell him, meaning that my bloods were fine and I didn't have bilharzia. But they didn't realize that I had a bunch of food intolerances and I wasn't actually absorbing and assimilating all my vitamins and minerals and things. And so my energy was really low. But when I went on this program, I discovered my energy just went off the charts, and I absolutely love it. I treasure my energy so much now. So I just wanted to throw that in the mix because, as you say, it makes the biggest difference to business and life and enjoyment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you all for those that showed up live and participated today. It's been a pleasure being with all of you. And for those that are listening to the recording, we say thank you. And you can always connect with us on Facebook, on Influencer, LinkedIn. We're here to support and provide encouragement, and we're really hoping that some of you will join us in stepping into your Hello Gorgeous.
Absolutely, absolutely. And add your comments. Let us know who you are and where you are coming from in the globe, so that when we come back to look at all the comments, we can connect with you. It'll be so precious for us, and get your questions, and we promise to come back and answer them. Jennifer, thank you for joining me today. It's been such a joy having a lovely chat with you and looking at our ideal selves and everybody else's who's going to come on this amazing adventure to their full potential self with us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right, we are going to say goodbye to Facebook, and then we can say goodbye to each other after that. So goodbye, Facebook family, influencer family. We love you lots. And we also, I know, streaming live onto YouTube, Influencer, and we may even be on LinkedIn. So let's just send everybody the biggest heartfelt warmness for the year ahead, and know that you can rock your ideal self. Stay safe, and absolutely learn to rock you, because it changes everything.
Yeah. Have a
Thanks,
nice day.
everyone. Bye.
Cheers.